Hey everyone, we are here with Mark from The Eternal. If you don't know them, you're fucking missing out. They are fantastic. Kind of an international band, some based in Melbourne, some based in Helsinki, correct?
Yes,
And Mark is the amazing vocalist of said band. New album, actually out today called Skinwalker.
it is. It's out today, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
It's been a
So,
while.
yeah, when was the last album released?
2018.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, no, I'm sure, being so far apart makes it a look like a little more challenging, right?
Well, the Jan and Nicholas, who are our Finnish members, Jan Rekberger and Nicholas Etelavori, they joined for this record. So previously, we were an Australian-based band, and basically we'd known those guys because we toured with Amorphous. Back in 2013, I think, on their Circle tour. And we were touring Europe in 2019, and we were in Helsinki. And Jan messaged me and he's like, "Hey, man, come and hang down the studio." And Nicholas was there. Anyway, fast forward to cut a long story short. We needed a drummer when we got back from that tour, and COVID was about to kick off. And Jan came in to fill that position for us. So, and Nicholas not long after as well. So, those guys have been in the band for about 4.5 years. But obviously the COVID lockdowns also slowed
Yeah.
the process of getting our album together.
Yeah. That COVID really I think messed a lot of people up. I think it kind of goes both ways, right? A lot of people it messed up, and some people it really helped set like, okay, this is the important things that I really want to do. So, life
Mm.
shifts, right?
It helped in a way because Jan wasn't on tour with Amorphous, so
Yeah.
he was able to play drums in our record, and then he decided I want to be part of this band, which was, of course, we decided that as well. But yeah, so it had its ups and downs. COVID, obviously, in Melbourne, we were locked down for an extensive period of time, almost a year. We weren't almost allowed. We weren't allowed to leave the house, and so it was very challenging in that respect. But it did give us sort of some time to put, get this line up working on the record and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I have to say, like everyone on the album, I feel fills a really uh I want to say fills a really good part, right? In each section that's done through the entire album. Um, it's very well thought out and laid out, from the artwork to the track listing. Everything's just it's what you look for in an album, right? Just a complete piece of art.
Thank you. Well, we are an album band. We don't sort of focus on um, dropping singles and that kind of stuff. Obviously, we're doing that at the moment as the label wants to release singles before an album comes out. But primarily, our focus is making a complete piece of work and a complete album. And I had some of those early demos before Jan and Nicholas became involved, but they're obviously very prolific in their own right. Obviously, Jan's in a highly professional band in Amorphous, and Nicholas spent 17 years with Jan in that band. So they didn't just come in and go, "Mark, we're going to play your songs." It was like we need to work on, like, there was opinions, there was things that were brought to the table, there was like really detailed discussions about arrangement. Every single part of every song was really dissected. For me, being the primary songwriter for the duration of the whole band's career, and having collaborators, I'd had Richie, who's our guitar player. He'd come in on the last record, and he was my first real songwriting collaborator. But to have four collaborators was quite a new experience. And at first it was like, wow, oh, this is interesting. Everyone's got opinions. But it really added a dimension. Like Jan is the son of a composer, and he's more than a drummer. We're all sound engineers and music producers, so we mixed and produced the record as well. And so it wasn't just a matter of everyone just comes in and plays their part. It was a whole shaping that took place as a unit, and that was, I think, no, it didn't. Like if you go and listen to some of our earlier records, you can tell it's me singing, and you can tell that all the parts are moving and they're all there. But with Skinwalker, they just kind of all came together, and it's multi-dimensional because there is four collaborators that are all working not only on the songs but the production and all the sonic elements of it.
Yeah, it's really cool when like you get engineers and producers that start creating music because I feel like there are a lot of added dimensions to the music that you don't typically get with, just straight musicians, right?
Yeah, because we understand what we want. Like we don't have to explain it to someone else. We just have to sort of navigate it with each other. But ultimately, we knew when to step away from the console and let the other person come in and do their thing as well. Like, so it was a learning experience for this lineup to learn how to create together. But considering we are an international band and not all in the same place, two of us being in Melbourne, two of us being in Helsinki, like it works remarkably well, and the communication is good, and the vision is in sync with each other. So um like it works if as well, if not better than bands I've been in where we're all in the same place. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Especially, just listening to Skinwalker, I'm gonna be honest, I'm really excited to see you all live. So,
Yes, we're really excited to do that, and obviously that's something we have to work on. That is a logistics thing that we need to work on now that the album's here. We've gone through a lot of changes, not only with the music but with the record label as well as we signed to RPM. That took about a year to kind of really solidify, maybe a bit less, maybe about 10 months, but 10 months to get the deal and then another 6 months to get the album out. So, we went through some changes there, and obviously that changes the game on what we would like to do with touring and things like that. So we have a lot of logistics to work out, but we are working through that now, and we are definitely planning to get this show on the road at some point, hopefully in the US. I mean, that would be great. The Eternal has played in the US. Uh, ooh, 14 or 15 years ago now.
so it's been just a little bit of
Yeah,
time ago.
yeah, we toured with Taria, who was the previous singer of well, Nightwish. So we did an American tour there as well. But we'd really like to get this lineup into to the States. We'll probably start in our home territories, probably Finland and Australia, and then see what grows from there, because we really need to test the waters and get together and rehearse the material and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, rehearse the material and then, I feel like with it being so long between albums, people are kind of the fan base kind of goes, and then you come out
Mm,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh, they're back, you know?
Yeah, well, it's. I don't think it's even just that. I think this opportunity with RPM is exposing us to new people. Like you hadn't heard us before. I'm not. I
Correct.
don't think. So we're getting exposed. Like we're a new band to some people, and that is perfectly fine for me because this is a new chapter of the band. So if you want to jump back and listen to what brought us to this point, fantastic. I've been putting my heart into this music for 20 years, and you're going to find all kinds of different stuff, real doomy gothic stuff, real kind of rockin' stuff, and elements of the proggy stuff, sort of working out where we belong or what we want to do. But this lineup just seems to have really glued something together. So it is exciting, but obviously we're not in the same place. So we work remotely a lot. We did mix Skinwalker together in Helsinki. So myself and Richie went to Helsinki and we spent a month together in the studio, you know, really doing it face to face when the lockdowns ended. As soon as the lockdowns ended, pretty much we went over to Finland and mix the record. And the same sort of thing now, like we're working on new material, and there's remote elements and there's face-to-face elements as well. Like I've been over there earlier in the year working on arranging songs for the next record as well. So we're really we're really going head on into it.
Yeah, that like it makes you feel good. Like, okay, this album's coming out. We've already got stuff we're working on for the next album.
Well, I mean, we're well into it because we had that year and a half period of where we were negotiating and getting rid of the Skinwalker release. So, to be honest, we've actually recorded drums for the next record. So, we actually have 13 songs down. So,
Wow.
I don't know if I'm supposed to give away that much information, but you know, I think for people that have followed us, um, that, probably going, oh, it's going to be 6 years before there's another record. That's not the case at all. We're into it. I was in fact sitting here working on guitar sounds for that said record before I called you, or before we spoke. So it's all moving. But we will obviously have to take breaks to kind of go out and play as well. But
Hmm.
we love making records. We love recording, we love arranging, and we love producing and coming up with the soundscape. And I think going back to that thing you said before about producers who make their own records, um, I think that's really powerful. I teach sound engineering in Australia, and I think one thing that really empowers musicians is that ability to get that sound that you have in your head without going through someone else, and being able to get the sound, being able to
Yeah.
create the thing that you think of. That's an extra step that modern musicians kind of, really need. Um, so that's really good. And I think that thing of having more than one music producer in the band is that someone can go, "Hey, Mark, that idea is cool, but EQ it like that, or try this, or if getting frustrated or stuck with a concept, let someone else, paint their picture with it, and so that it just makes the kind of iterations, or the adjustments, or the perspectives kind of infinite in a way, because you can do different combinations of everyone working on sounds, um, and it's great because all four of us have recording studios, so we can sort of really um, easily, do our thing.
Yeah, that makes it, really easy. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm just gonna pop in my studio. And I can only imagine I'll reference it. So I'm a realtor in real life. I sell
Yeah.
houses, right? So like if you live in a house and you live with six animals, you end up being nose blind to the smell of the animals, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
outside perspective and you're like, oh man, like, okay, I didn't think about it like that. I think that's a great idea, or, what have you.
And that is just what is so refreshing about this lineup is I guess I really led the show until Richie came into the band with Waiting for the Endless Dawn, our last record. As I said, that was very collaborative. But I'd already had some of that written. This was the first one that we'd sort of done from scratch together. So there's a lot more of Richie's material in there. And Jan has this amazing ability that he's not just a drummer, he's a percussionist, he's a musician, he's great at this cinematic approach to things. And I mean, let's face it, like we're having a bit of a cultural combination here, because sort of ideas, musical ideas that the Europeans have, Australians don't necessarily have.
Right.
I mean, I can give you an example about like sort of we shy away from kind of like key changes in songs and things like that, in our songwriting. And Europeans are big into that kind of stuff. And when the guys first, hey, let's put a key change at the end of Death Like Silence, me and Richie were like, what? What? That's going to sound a bit like Eurovision or something. What's that all about? But it works so well, and these ideas that I guess come from different cultures as well. I mean, that's a very basic example, but there's musical ideas that come from their upbringing, their space, what they listen to, the music they're surrounded with, and Australian music and European music is quite different. Even though the Eternals always had that kind of European flavor because of my early influences, um, to actually in the band and be like, let's try some different things. Like Jan does a lot of really European sounding things with strings and percussion, and that's just a totally new thing for us, and but it just adds this great flavor to things. So I guess it's just really exciting when you open if you open yourself to it and you don't try to control the band or whatever it be, and you just go, hey, that guy's bringing something different to the table, and it's I like it. It's really exciting. So moving into the second record or the stuff we're writing now it was like we're doing that one from scratch together. You know, there was no initial demos, and everyone submitted new material, complete songs, and so it even has just more of that flavor to it. So yeah, it's really exciting to do musical thing, you know, exchange ideas as producers, but also exchange the cultural ideas. I think is really, you know, it makes the band very unique.
Absolutely. And it's, you know, it's really cool. I love the different regions in the world because their sounds, it could be the same style of music, you know, death metal or prog or
Yeah,
whatever, but their sounds are different. The way they arrange is different. And it's,
absolutely.
you know, it's nice and refreshing, right?
Yeah, it is. It's great to just have these other perspectives. And of course, just in everyday life when we're together talking, I mean, we're learning things about, you know, each other's cultures and you should hear the Finns put on an Aussie accent. It's hilarious. But
Oh, I
um,
bet.
you know, it's a great thing, you know. So we're just sharing this kind of international kind of relationship, a long distance relationship, if you will. But it's like we're really kind of we're in communication like daily. We're working on stuff all the time. So as I said, it feels just like if you were just ringing up your drummer in the next suburb, you know,
Yeah.
because we are that kind of connected in the way we're working at the moment. So yeah, it's really good, and I really appreciate the uniqueness of that this situation has brought into my life.
It's, you know, it's pretty, it's amazing, right? Like, I don't know. I assume you're probably early 40s ish.
Little later than that, but I appreciate that.
Okay. So we're probably about the same age, right? So growing up, we didn't have this accessibility to, you know,
No,
people so far away. That those phone
no,
calls were so expensive. And
absolutely. Like, I mean, I think it all starts with the Eternals' first album and that we got signed to a Finnish record label, Firebox Records, and that started my relationship with the country. Like, I was familiar with Amorphous and things like that, but I hadn't really thought about Finland and what it is. But ever since that time, I've been going there very regularly and building a lot of friendships and relationships. So, you know, it was only a matter of time really before we had Finns in the band, I guess. So it's like my home away from home, really. I go there and, you know, I feel really at home, and I've got people I really like to be around there. So, yeah, it's a wonderful thing that the band allowed me to experience other cultures, including the American culture, you know, coming in and checking out America and you know, realizing it's not always exactly what you see on TV or
right.
anything like, you know, like it's that it's just it's wonderful that this band has allowed me that opportunity to meet people from other cultures. It's broadened my perspectives in life. But it's yeah, it's really great to have those guys in the band, and of course my partner here, Richie, who's not here but in Australia as well.
He's there in spirit.
He's actually I have a cardboard cutout of him somewhere, but uh,
That's so funny. Speaking of cardboard cutouts, I've got a joke with my niece. Um, I send her Mike Tyson memes all the time because I love them. I think they're great. I love Mike Tyson. Well, she's getting married next year, and I was gonna cut this out, but I'll just let it go. Well, my sister's like, hey, you should let, you know, Uncle Tommy do the ceremony. And she's like, no, he'll figure out some way to get Mike Tyson there. What she doesn't know is I've already got a full size Mike Tyson cardboard cutout ready. It's like,
I actually
yeah,
do have really a little cardboard cutout of Richie that we take with us if if I'm going over to Finland and he's not coming for whatever reason, if he has to work or whatever, we have it there in the studio with us.
that's so awesome.
You know,
That's great.
you know, keeps all four of us together.
Yeah. So, it seems like, you know, hearing you talk about the current lineup and everything that's done, it feels like you are just the band as a whole is absolutely connected, and you know, being the primary guy for so long, you feel like do you feel like you're really refreshed with it? And
Yeah, yeah, I do feel refreshed with it, and I don't feel like the whole weight of everything's on my shoulders. I still think because of my seniority in the band or being in the band for the longest that like demos filter through my studio, like because my voice goes on it at the end of the day. So I have to be able to sing on it, you know.
Mhm.
So everything kind of, I guess I'm the final filter of the demos, and then they'll go back and then we'll do some tweaking and whatever, but it sort of filters through me to have that eternal flavor to it, which is, primarily my voice. So, my voice kind of brings it all together. I think people ask me about singing and I'm like, I can't really sing other people's songs, but I can sing the eternal. Like
Yeah.
it's the only thing I can really sing. So, I'm this, so it all kind of, yeah, it just, and gives a cohesion to it as well. So, um, yeah, I think I've lost my plot where I was at now, but,
That that's okay. It's totally
save me.
fine. Yeah, no, it's it's nice to sit here and see you, like the look on your face talking about it is like you're just happy, you know?
Well, I'm excited today because the album's out today.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been, I messaged Jan earlier. He's playing at Hellfest today with Amorphous. I messaged him earlier and I was like, 4.5 years ago, you were sitting behind that drum stool, pal. We're there today. We're there today. And it's an unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's been these singles and the build up to the release, but when people hear it all in context with the much longer songs and not the shorter singly type ones, and hear it all in context, I think it's quite a different experience. But yeah, I'm really just excited for the journey, and you know, um, me and Richie have always been really grounded with the band. Like we had no big expectations. We've always been on smaller labels, done, smaller things. And I'm not saying it's necessarily going to get bigger, but we have this opportunity to be exposed to more people for the first time. And after 21 years of being in this band, like through all the ups and downs and the times where I wondered, how am I still doing this? I'm the last man standing sort of thing. To have like a cohesive group around me and to have this opportunity to release our music to maybe a wider audience, that is very rewarding and exciting. And I'm just really hoping that more ears will get on this record.
Well, I think that they will. I feel like, the PR behind it is doing really well to get out there and push it. And, of course, RPM, I feel like RPM has been signing so many people as of late that it's, like the Kerry King thing, really
Mm,
helped drive a lot of eyes onto RPM and go, okay, like what's going on over here?
yeah. Yeah, I mean they have Opeth, Miss Sugar and
Yeah.
Amorphous, bunch of great European acts as well. And yeah, the Kerry King thing was pretty huge. Um yeah, so I mean, just to even have our name amongst those other names just doesn't quite compute with me. But like because like I'm just a guy sitting here in my studio in Melbourne, really at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm curious to see what opportunity unfolds if people take to the record and we're able to, you know, get on the road and do some good shows. And I think we're gonna have to really prove ourselves, as a live act to really solidify, hey, they made a good album, but can this lineup actually bring it live, And I'm confident we'll take that as seriously as as we have with the album production.
Well, I'm sure, with as many years experience as everyone has that, taking it live will be, might be a little challenging, because studio and live are a little different, but I'm confident you all can, take it and nail it.
Well, the Eternals always been like a live band that toured and played, and obviously Jan is on tour a lot with Amorphous, and Nicholas is a live guy. So we're old and wise enough to know how to pull this together. So,
Yeah.
but that's the exciting next step, recording more music and getting in front of people with this. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing the feedback over the coming weeks and um seeing if people take to it. So that's, it is an exciting day. I'm here in Melbourne celebrating by myself.
Yeah. Everyone's doing their own thing. Like, okay, album's out.
Yeah, yeah, we've all spoken today though, so
That's a good
so
thing.
yeah, made sure we checked in and said, "Hey guys, congratulations." But yeah, we will celebrate together at some point. So it's very very good stuff.
Rock and roll. So, in your years of playing, is there a time where you've played that really stands out as like, man, this was the best time?
Well, before this time, which is really exciting and kind of rewarding musically. I think around the first two albums was a very exciting time for me because I'd been in a doom band called Cryptal Darkness for about 7 years, and we didn't really get to play out of Australia or do anything. And then I formed this Eternal band, and we got signed to a small label in Finland, and we were able to come over and play in Europe. And there was a bit of momentum around those first couple albums. There was a bit less of that down. This was just before the downloading and kind of torrent stuff really kicked in. And we got some really great touring opportunities. We got to tour with Opeth, and we got to tour with him. So, and a few other really great bands, and it was just a really nice period. But it was shortly, and then by the third album, we got to do like a world tour type thing, which was really really exciting. But the period that followed that was really disheartening.
Ah,
The really hard period for the band for the I would say the following two albums was very hard. It was a bit of more of a crash down to earth type experience because there was kind of some momentum, and then it just kind of took a bit of a nosedive because our European label ended and we didn't have really good label coverage outside of, well, really anywhere. So we were kind of under the radar there for a few records, and we were not sure what to do. We were a bit lost stylistically, I think, and a few lineup changes. So there was two other guys that have been through me with most of that period of time, but it was really yeah, that was a big up followed by a down, and then a slow climb back up to some stability through I guess, with our fifth album, we started, although we were still sort of stuck in Australia and didn't have a label, we were getting some good shows with like Amorphous and all the kind of gothic metal bands that were coming into Australia, like Catatonia and Paradise Lost and stuff like that. So we were playing with all the bands that we loved and Anathema, and we were getting to do all that. But it was also helping me refocus on um, what is the band about? What is our sound about? Because a few albums are quite experimental with the sound there in the middle, and I was able to start to bring that back with Waiting for the Endless Dawn. So my favorite periods are the beginning and now, I think, and I'm really excited to see what we can do with now, because um, yeah, it feels like as a musician and as a younger musician, you're very hungry for success. And when it doesn't come and punch you in the face, or you get it straight away, you get a little bit confused. Like, why am I, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And I had to spend a lot of time working out that I do the Eternal and I write this music because I have to, because it's part of who I am. The Eternal is like, it's not like a band I joined, it's a band I formed, and it's an expression of myself. So, I had to really go, regardless of success or the ups and downs, like I'm here, I'm in the center of it, and I just have to go. And I was just lucky enough to meet Richie, and he shared my vision, and then these two guys come in and really solidify. that. So it was a great learning experience to have ups and downs because yeah, like many people, we're going to be a brand new band that you've never heard of before, and you'll be like, "What the hell? They've got six other albums."
Yeah.
Because we've been I saw a great review last week, and it was like, I don't remember the exact words, but it was like the Eternal have been wandering for a long time, but seem to have found their most cohesive direction or something like that. And I feel like that. I feel like we were wandering in the plains. I was like, that was a really insightful comment, because I do feel like I've been wandering around going, what am I doing? What am I trying to express? And ultimately it's come back to a bit of its more original concept, but more mature and evolved, and obviously better musicians as or we've become better musicians as well. So
Yeah, I think sometimes, it needs, you need to have those, peaks and valleys, to really go, okay, what do we really want here? And what is the ultimate goal? Because,
mm,
you, I don't know, I don't really know how to put it.
I know what
Sometimes,
you mean. Like it just like we're very grounded, you know.
yeah,
Even Jan and Nicholas have had a lot of success. They're very, very grounded. Um, and I think being grounded is important to keep creating the art that you want to create. Um, everyone goes ups and downs and loses perspective every now and then, but it's sort of you do have to experience those things in life to kind of appreciate what you have. And I don't know, I don't take anything for granted at the moment. I don't take it for granted that we have a nice label releasing the music, or that I have three other fantastic musicians in the band, or the wonderful guests that are on the record as well. So, you know, it's good. Like, when we finally get a little more backing behind us, I'm not taking it for granted, that's for sure.
no, no, it doesn't seem like it. Seems like you're saying, excited, but just really happy with where the band is currently and where the band is heading.
Well, yeah, we have some focus. We've signed a 3 album deal, so we can focus on getting our music together, and the label's been teaching us all the social media tools and all that to get ourselves back on track with everything. So it's we've been learning lots of new things. The old guys need to get in there with the younger guys and use the tools properly, because we have to use those tools these days.
Yeah.
It's not like 20 years ago where you just played the music. So lucky for me, I have like a sound engineering background, a graphic design background, so I have a lot of skills I can bring to the table. Like I did the album cover, for example, and the lyric videos. So, having those skills and then sort of having some guidance as to what to do with those skills is really helpful. So yeah, it's interesting time, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's really different, back in the 90s, there was so much like tape trading going on
Yes.
to find new bands, and now, you really just click of a button and you found, all these new bands.
And the thing is, there's so many of them now. Like the market is so saturated with artists. Like, how do you even find the Eternal from the other side of the world if someone doesn't help you be aware of us? You know
Right.
what I mean? So, it's really hard, I think, for bands. There's so many phenomenal bands that maybe no one will ever hear, because there's so many bands in the marketplace. Whereas in somehow in those tape trading days, and I was there, we had a PO box in my original first sort of band I joined out of high school. And, we were in like sort of playing grindcore and then doom metal. And, we would be in fanzines that were photocopied, and then you'd send tapes over to, some guy in the Philippines or in Europe, or and then they'd send you something back. Like and that was exciting. You go to the PO box and there'd be mail in there, and it'd be like, wow, that's really, it was, yeah, really cool
Yeah.
experience. But now there's so much highly produced professional product just right there, and these 20-year-olds can play like there's no tomorrow. So, um, it's a really different landscape, the music industry now from 20 years ago, even from when the Eternal signed. with Firebox back in 2003, 2004. Even the landscape 20, well, it is 20 years ago,
Yeah.
was very different.
It's
Seems
hard.
like yesterday,
I
my old
know.
brain.
It's hard to think that was 20 years ago, you know?
I know, man. 2004 does not seem like 20 years ago, but
No.
it was. But it was, I got to see the evolution of now I'm a teacher in my day job, right? So I teach some music business as well. So I've paid a lot of attention to the evolution of the music industry, and when the timeline of the digital revolution and things like that. So it's hard to survive through all of that, because almost as a musician, you're not yeah, like I said, you're not just focused on being a musician anymore. That's a facet of it, but another facet of it is you know like there's no mystery anymore like there used to be when you'd get a vinyl or whatever, because you have to put yourself out there now and
Yeah.
kind of be online and be there for people to be able to see what you're doing, like in the studio and in your life. And that's just the way our modern world is. So it's more difficult to sort of just hide in here and make music, because
Yeah.
you've got to keep people engaged in what you're doing. So but this part's old school, the sitting around like doing interviews when an album comes out. However, we're doing video podcasts now. So, that part of it has changed. So there's just I think visual media is a huge part of music now. Like it's
Absolutely.
not just the music, like we've evolved to have um digital media, sorry, like music related digital media, and the visual element. They really go hand in hand. And I mean, people scrolling constantly, whatever, but we need this visual stick now as well. So that's led bands to have to become social media type of people. And that was challenging for us getting back into before this record. Like particularly Finnish guys, they like to keep to themselves, so to have to get in there and do videos and make content and do all that kind of stuff, that's a whole you know other part of what the band has to do now. Like I spent all day, before I managed to pick up my guitar, spend my day making videos and graphics, so for what we need to do. So yeah, it's just it is it's a full package now. So when I do get that time just to focus on the music and switch off, that's like that's a nice moment.
You're like, oh, yeah, I'm where I want to
Then you got to
be.
think about posting about
Yeah.
it.
Every time, like that's how my day starts. It's like I get up, I release a bunch of videos, do a few posts, and then I'm like, okay, now I can actually start to work and get everything
Yeah,
else going. It's crazy
yeah,
how that
yeah.
how how times have changed.
Yeah, you've got to make it part of your situation as a band. And there are so many young people that are just doing fantastic jobs of this, like that younger generation. They grew up with Instagram and TikTok and whatever else, and they nail it. They know exactly what to do. Like my
Yeah.
little brother, I have a
Yeah.
21-year-old brother. Or is he 22 now? I don't know. Time flies. But he's like he really understands it really, really well. So now I'm sounding super old. But
Yeah. No, I'm literally right there with you. My kids are 17 and 20, and I feel like they've got the whole social media thing like down, and I'm out here like I'm the grandpa, like, what do you, hey Johnny, posts like, oh, I wasn't supposed to post that. Oh shit, what am I doing?
Yep, yep. It's definitely interesting times we live in, but I'm glad that there one thing I really like about RPM, I'd like to sort of say, is that they like physical product. Some labels are just digitally focused, and RPM, make vinyl, they make CDs, they make t-shirts, they make the whole product thing. And that was very, exciting to obviously Skinwalkers on a double gatefold custom colored vinyl, and that's the first time the Eternals had that.
Yeah.
So that was really nice to get that in my hands. But you know, that resurgence of physical product, I think, is a wonderful thing. um, because people, they want that tangibility. They want something to have of the band that they enjoy, or and I think RPM, really sort of doing
Understands that.
those awesome different colored vinyls they do and all that kind of stuff. I just, I think it's really great that they have some of that old school mentality. And obviously there's a vinyl revival and all that kind of stuff, but um, getting Skinwalker in my hands on vinyl, I got to say, people, if you watch this, get your hands on it because it's a
Yeah.
limited color and it's beautiful.
It's transparent smoky black, right?
It's like a brownie. I should have one up here with me. It's like a brownie, goldy
Okay.
color, sort of like the cover, um, but they call it under the black marbled vinyl. So we've got the song Under the Black. So Under the
Yeah.
Black Marbled Vinyl. It's one of their marketing ideas, but really nice idea. And yeah, the color really suits the artwork as well. But we didn't have vinyl like that when I was younger. So,
No.
these multicolored splattered vinyls and stuff. Yeah, I really like that we get to bring, physical product into this. So that's one thing I really like about working with RPM is they really, hold the flame for the physical product, which
Yeah.
is if you're a 16-year-old out there listening to this, or an 18-year-old, go buy a record. It's a nice experience.
Yeah.
Or a
Oh, and
CD if you don't have a record player.
well, you can get record players so cheap now where, like
Yeah.
my daughter's boyfriend just bought her a new record player like 3 days ago. She's like, okay, now I need to go buy more records. She's got, I don't know, 8 or 10. And I'm like, yeah, you do. But first you need a job. Like,
The
like,
record player's cheap, the records aren't.
no, no, my collection is so crazy. And I'm glad you brought up the vinyl because that was my next question. What sort of physical copies do you guys have? Because I'm the guy. I hope there's a lot more out there like me that when I like a band, I want I want a physical copy of their music because I want to feel like I'm supporting them in more ways than just listening on Spotify or YouTube or
Yeah.
what have you, you
I
know?
mean, we could go into the whole conversation about the streaming income, but that's a whole other meeting in itself. But yeah, we have Skinwalkers currently in a really nice digipack version for the CD people. Um, it's got quite a comprehensive booklet and lots of extra photos. And we've got the double gatefold vinyl with the pull-out sleeve and the limited color. And you can buy that also with a t-shirt. So the label have Rainy Phoenix have a pack where you can buy the vinyl and a t-shirt, or a CD and a t-shirt together. And it's the Skinwalker artwork on the t-shirt as well. So it's a pretty simple, kind of cohesive merch package. We don't have any crazy stuff in there, but yeah, for those of you who are interested in getting involved in the Eternal in the physical way, um, we have those products available at RPM. And of course, if you come to us directly, we have like our older albums available on CD, but none on vinyl. This is our first one on vinyl. So
Have
that's
you
really, really exciting.
have you thought about re-releasing some on vinyl?
Yeah, I mean it's a costly experiment. It's a
Hmm.
costly thing to do, but yeah, at some point, seeing how all this goes, it would be nice to go back and, you know, having that I have my studio here, it'd be nice to go back and do a little bit of work on some of those older records and maybe remaster them and maybe get them on some other formats. I don't even think I have the first two records in physical format anymore because those CDs sold out long ago. So it would be nice to get those first two records um, out in some kind of physical way again because yeah, and they also remind me of a very positive time in the band as well. So yeah, I'd really like to hopefully get some of our back catalog in a more physical way.
Well, let's see what we can do and work that out.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, that would be cool. Like I said, it's for me, it's, you look at my collection and it's not like one record from this band. I like this band. I have all of them, like
Yep.
my wife's like, why do you have 6 copies of that album? I'm like, well, there's this variant and this variant, and you
We
know,
need more guys like you in this world.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
I surround myself with those people, so it's so crazy to go to other people's houses and look at their record collections. I'm always blown away. Like, shit, I didn't even know that was available. Like, I would have bought that. Start looking for it. I'm like checking Discogs and eBay, you know.
Yeah, it's exciting. That's a fun part. Like I've just started. I buy a vinyl every now and then. I don't have a massive collection, but in the last years, I've set up a decent setup downstairs, and I try and buy at least one a month just to go down there and on a Saturday morning and have a coffee and listen to a record or something like that.
Yeah,
Takes me away from this. I mean, you can't see the other side of what I've got going on here, but this big, massive concoction of knobs and digital technology I have in front of me. So sort of go down there and leave this space where I spend a lot of my time and go put on a record and have a coffee is definitely a good experience. So I recommend everyone experiences that.
yeah. Well, that's the truth. It really like it takes you back, right, to growing up, because that was,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we grew up. You bought a record and you put it on the record player, and to have this large, tangible art, and you could read all the lyrics in the songs and see photos from maybe a live show or studio shots or
Yeah. And the best part was there wasn't social media, so it was a mystery.
yeah,
It was like, do they live in a castle? What do they do? Do they
yeah,
have swords? You know, does Ronnie James Dio live in a castle? I mean,
yeah,
it's like you just you had to use your imagination, and that built up the mythology behind the band a whole lot more. So yeah, it
that,
was very, very interesting times. But I'm glad that we're getting a bit of a resurgence in that, and I'm glad that we get to participate in that by having physical product, and I'm hoping the kind of new people that discover us are interested in having something tangible from the band. So yeah, very exciting.
yeah, I think that they will. It's a record that you really want to listen to on vinyl and experience that with no distractions.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Did the label send you a vinyl, or did they send
No,
you the link?
no, so they sent me a link, but I'll buy the vinyl because I'm gonna
That's the
because I want to
spirit.
support the band.
Um, I've actually got to buy a bunch of them for my friends because my friends want them to. So, but yeah, it's I'm glad you enjoyed the listening experience. I think I can really tell those people who I've been doing media with who have listened to it start to finish and kind of got it. And I'm not saying everybody has to get it.
Right.
It's not music for everybody, but um hopefully through your music you connect with the right people. So, you know, I find, yeah, there's just been some really, interesting sort of feedback from people listening to the whole thing. And that's what I was really waiting for because we've been relying on these singles. And of course, the catchier songs go out as singles because
Yeah.
you need to have bite-sized kind of snippets to get people hungry for it. Um, but at the same time, I was like, I'd love some people to hear the Iconoclast or Abandoned by Hope because these 10-minute kind of,
Yeah.
sort of proggy dark things, they're a big part of the story and no one's got, but today, people get to hear the whole story. So that's really exciting. But yeah, you can really tell, being that I've been doing this for several weeks on this, I guess, run of
This
media
cycle.
stuff, yeah, this cycle, I guess, that you can really tell who's delved into it, and how to listen to it. And yeah, as I said, you don't expect everyone to sort of understand or like your music because that's not how it works. Everyone has different tastes, but there's been some really interesting feedback and some conversations about, the lyrics and the whole concept. So yeah, it's I feel like people have been really listening to it. And in this day and age, for people to, ingest 60 minutes of music with an opening 10-minute song. No, that's rewarding.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because it's so hard, especially with social media. People are looking for those little quick clips. And, I feel like a lot of the older people are not, they don't have, we still have short attention spans, but we can, you know, kind of kind of go back and go, okay, I want to listen to the whole thing. And to to open an album with a 10-minute track is, in today's world, is bold. But
No.
but I feel like it starts the album so strong and really prepares you for the entire journey, you know?
The good thing about Abandoned by Hope is it does sort of cover all the textual elements. You've got the heavy stuff, the proggy stuff, the melodic stuff, the mellow parts. You've got the whole journey kind of. This is the journey you're going to go on for the next 50 minutes after this track, you know?
Yeah.
And then you get a relief from that with Death Like Silence because it picks up and it takes you on a like gives you a bit of a breather and gives you a melodic kind of moment and then we, sort of delve into the journey. But I think having Death Like Silence second instead of going into another 10-minute song was was a was a good move, kind of, you know, let people sort of breathe and have a bit of a sort of more mid-tempo, up-tempo kind of moment and then take everyone back down again.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a it's a story. It takes you, like, I'm going to call it cinematic, listening to the album.
Mm.
You can almost like visualize where it's going, and it feels, to me, it feels really comfortable to be on that journey.
Thank you very much. I think this cinematic thing's really been something that Jan has helped develop in the band more. Like, if you listen to, say, the end of Shattered Remains, which is the last song, pay attention to the second half of that song when it goes into Jan's percussive um, breakdown at the end of the song. It is cinematic to the max. And I think he layered 20, 30, 40 takes of toms or something
Wow.
ridiculous to build this cinematic kind of experience. And all like 90% of all the percussive elements and cinematic things you hear on the record, he's overdubbed by hand with mallets and all kinds of different percussive elements. Not every drummer does that. Like
Right.
some people just drum. He has this, as I said, his father was a really great composer, so he has this compositional mindset, but very cinematic, and it works with our music. So um, he was able to take that cinematic thing. I think Australians, we tend to kind of, do things in a subdued way. And he really brought it to the front. Like, let's do this big cinematic thing. Let's have this chanting thing over here. Let's do this and make it's a bit bolder than what we'd normally do. And but I think it does create this kind of experience. So now with the new stuff, my mind's totally open to it. It's like he's just done the drums. He's like, oh, well, I'm planning all the percussion. I'm gonna go to the symphony orchestra in Helsinki, and I'm gonna like get the guy there to help me do all this, and we'll get a choir over here, and we'll do this. So I think we're gonna, we'll play on that cinematic thing a little bit more on the next record as well. I don't think there's any 10-minute songs. We're sitting around 7.5. We tightened up our game a little bit, but nonetheless, we're still going forth with that. I think we've found a kind of good groove on the cinematic elements to kind of build upon. But yeah, I think if you listen to a lot of European metal bands, they are very cinematic, and
Absolutely.
um, Jan definitely brought that to the table. Um, and lifted it up a notch. So yeah, I really like that cinematic element of the album. I think it enhances the emotional aspect because
Abs
ultimately the music's there to support the lyrical content as well, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's, I feel like the album just as a whole, right, is just so all encompassing. It's again, it's just fantastic piece of work. Um, and I'm excited to get it on vinyl.
That's awesome to hear, man. I'm really that's what I want to hear on release day.
Good, good. Well, hopefully you hear a whole lot of it. Mark, I know that you've got a lot of other things going on, so I thank you. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and chat with me about the new album.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Have yourself a great day.
You too, buddy.
Thanks. See ya.